I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome. A few items to mention: if everybody could silence their cell phones and watches. Our meetings are public and recorded. This is a business meeting, so we ask everyone to conduct themselves in a professional manner. Our city code allows for public comment up to 3 minutes, and for best sound quality, please remember to lean into these microphones to speak. So with that, we're going to kick off tonight's activities with the Public Works Committee.
Hey, I call Public Works at 6 o'clock with myself, Bill John Humbud, Leroy's and Parsons all present. Under old business, our planning report.
It's been business as usual. We did have our urge and method 9 testing on June 1st, and then last week we were called from IMEA for our summer readiness testing. Just in case we were to get called from MISO, new generation, we had that testing last Wednesday.
Hey, utility streets.
Business park installation for the electric and gas, gonna be starting up the first part of July. That's when we get some of the equipment in. You have all the vaults in. The only other piece of equipment there that we're waiting on will be the switch gears coming in August timeframe, but we'll be able to get some vaults in place, get the pad ready, so whenever that comes in, we can switch that out. Underwater, just the normal day-to-day operations. Sewer, the Lucy State lift station upgrades were completed last week. And under the streets, we're just getting our normal stuff, and then we're doing some tar potting and prep for oil and chip. And then obviously in the next week or so, we're doing tree trimming and stuff along the detour route for the parade, upcoming picnic parade and
Lineman position.
no update other than we're still kind of going through some details. As of right now, the plan is to make formal recommendation at the July council.
Okay. The annual CPI utility rate increase.
No new update there. We're still working on some additional talking points, just trying to get all that stuff put together.
Okay, and the metering project presentation.
Yeah, we had discussed this in March, I believe it was, and then we wanted to wait until after the budget, and then Scott was at the Landis and Gear conference in May. At the same time, we had our meeting, and then you guys had some questions and thought it'd be good to have them come in. So we have Scott Jochimson, Chris Taylor with Fletcher Reinhardt, and Kevin Ochaki with Landis and Gear. We put the presentation that was back in there with the cost. That way they can kind of, you can invite Scott up, they can kind of go through it. You guys have any specific questions for them in regards to this potential project on the system. We're here to maybe answer any question you guys may have. Welcome, Scott.
First of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate you all taking your time out this evening. Scott Jochimson with Fletcher Reinhardt. I have been in this space since '84, so 40-something years in the AMI, load control, different pieces like that. So, like I said, glad to be here. Kind of going to review. So, if you look at the packet that we have here, first slide is really on the evolution of AMI. For those of you who have been around, annual meter reading, and we went to what we call AMR, which is getting a read so that you can bill automatically once a month. Now with the AMI, you'll be able to get reads daily, you'll be able to get hourly interval data, different things like that that add value not only to the city and utility, but also to your customers. So if you look at that, that's kind of what that chart kind of shows you, is the evolution as you start seeing more advanced things being added to this, like power quality, things like that. Early AMI was meter reading and then being able to do remote connect disconnect, which saves a truck roll, but it's also a safety issue, and it also helps with distribution. You know, on a Friday when they pay at 4:30, can you please turn on my power? You don't have to call anybody out to push a button. Power comes back out. So That's kind of what this first chart is, so if you have any questions, kind of as you see the use cases, but you start seeing more stuff with outage and demand management and that type of stuff. Some of that will come into play once you get either put in place and the system up and running, that's just advanced features that you'll get benefits from. So. The next slide that you have or paper you have is who's Fletcher Reinhardt. You may or may not know us, we're a family-owned business, been in the space for 68 years. Isn't it? Yeah. So third generation Reinhardt's, we serve the public power and we serve one branch of ours, does a lot of stuff with them. So run co-ops in municipal space. And that's what Chris does. Chris is your local rep that comes through every couple of weeks and he supports the entire plate of stuff that Fletcher Reinhardt supports, whether it's cables, structures, recloser controllers, all that stuff. I just work in any box space, so I'm more singularly focused, but we take care of basically supporting. And we have a bunch of engineers on staff that help support, you know, as needed with projects and answer questions. So we feel really good about having more support to be the local first level of support even for the AMI system. You'll find us in nationals and statewide municipal meetings, and we do training and other things either on site or at the statewide. So we're involved in this industry and have been for years. If you look, key thing to get out of the Fletcher Reinhardt, and anyone who's dealt with this should already feel this, is we're all about being a trusted partner. That's our goal in life. We're here to support you guys. Give you guys answers to help solve problems. My happiest day is when I sit down, like I sat down first time with Josh, and I go, all right, Josh, where are we at? Where are we trying to go? And he says, okay, we need to automate and we need to get some of the value add, and I go, perfect. That's what we do. That's what we like to do. So, but if you look at our core values, it's all about helping be that trusted partner. So that's what we kind of show. As we move forward, the next one, what you'll see there is we support Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. At this current time, we have 31 utilities running gridstream in the public service space. Waterloo, we have co-ops, we're working on right now negotiating a contract with Springfield, Illinois. So we've got small municipals, we've got large municipals, we've got middle-sized municipals, we've got co-ops from all spaces. So that's what this chart kind of shows you: 21 electric co-ops, 8 municipals, 1 small IOU, and we also are on the University of Missouri. So, and with that report, we have an annual users group meeting where our users get together in a localized place, and we have a meeting to discuss, hey, what's going on with everything, you know, what are you guys seeing, how are we doing, what can we do, how can we learn from each other. So it's all part of that collaborative experience. Like considering AMI, I think you guys have probably heard this over and over again. It's really to get timely data so that you can accurately do billing, but it's more than that. It's providing access. So like when you have a customer and he goes, hey, I don't understand why my bill was so high on June 10th. Well, now you can show them a daily usage chart, you can show them an hourly usage. And all of a sudden they go, June 10th, okay, graduation party, it's 90 degrees outside, the door was open, that's probably why. You know, so that type of thing, reducing truck rolls so that with disconnects and readings, so that's not only green, but carbon footprints and other stuff. We can monitor voltage interruptions, so you'll get information that Josh can use to see, hey, how well is the system running? You know, whatever my loss analysis, because you'll have a read for everything that's sold on that day. You know how much already brought in, you know how much is sold. Now you can do a loss analysis and figure out if somebody's stealing something, or do we have some information that or some infrastructure that needs to be updated so that we can improve losses and stuff. So you get a lot of benefits there that kind of offset that. With our system, it's an RF system, so it's radio frequency. It hops from meter to device, so we'll have to put some infrastructure in the air, we'll have electric meters, we'll have gas and water meters. The gas and water will actually talk to the electric because they are battery devices and they can't be in the middle. Because it just doesn't make any sense to maintain the battery on the circuit. But with this system, like I said, you'll be able to supply not only your customers, but also the utility will get valuable data that you can use to hopefully improve operations. And make better decisions on what's going on. Any questions on? We move on, you'll see this is more of a direct, which is the same types of things that we were just talking about. You'll get usage, you'll get daily usage, you can get demand, so. What you'll start seeing now in this industry is a lot of the suppliers are now charging you guys demand charges. You can't really see that, but with an AMI system, now you have the demand that you know that was the demand for not only the industry, the commercial industrial, but also for residential. So if you wanted to implement something to kind of balance that, you can do that with this system. Like I said, load profile, voltage, these are things that you can use to look at analysis. You know, why is the voltage at the end of the line, 113 and it's 118 somewhere else? So do I need to put capacitor back in? How do I make the system work more efficiently? So you have that data available. For outage and notifications, before you could just look at the system and it will tell you, so if you have it, it'll strategically say, hey, everything past this device is offline. So that probably tells you that you blew a fuse there, or you got to reclose it open or something. So it helps with restoration times and things like that too. Like I said, the biggest advantage of the AMI is going to be outage management, alarms and metering. Start seeing blink counts, you can see hot sockets. Helps with locations of faults, voltage monitoring, providing customers with the usage data. Like I was saying, if somebody calls and they do that, you could go into the system, you could get that data, send it to a spreadsheet, send it to them on email, and you could hopefully look at some data that's available. And we actually do have one product where we have a Wi-Fi on the meter, and you can actually hook it up so that through the Wi-Fi you monitor real time. So that's something in the future that if it needs to be done and wants to be done, I have that capability. Demand reduction losses, those types of things all come into the fact that, like I said, you know what the underlying voltage is. So if you wanted to reduce the voltage at a substation, what's the effect at the end of the line? You have the effect of every meter, so you can see. So you might be able to save a little money by demand charges by reducing the voltage. If you want to do that, as long as you keep the voltage right level, so your customers are happy. So another benefit that comes out of the AMI advantages. So from a manpower standpoint, linemen get concentrated on the high value activities. They're not doing meter reads, they're not doing connect, disconnect, they're not doing those types of things. The billing side, you have more data so that you can better support your customers, get data in a timely manner, and work with your customers with graphs and spreadsheets. And then, like I said, once the system's in, you can start looking at some of the advanced features like voltage analysis, asset management, loss analysis, etc. So that's kind of, hopefully it wasn't too fast. Hopefully it wasn't the first time you've heard these things. Anybody got any questions about the value of AMI or any questions about?
So can the system be phased in, or is it a citywide system and that's all at once?
Yes, you can phase it in. I mean, we can do it electric only, we can do a certain area of electric, you can strategically do electric in certain areas. The key piece is because of the way the system is built, it talks to meters, so if we put the infrastructure in, which we'll talk about real quick. So this is the gateway. So if you look at this price sheet, this is part of the infrastructure. So you'll have gateways. Biggest thing to know about this is the take in and take out point. The backhaul talks to the head end, and this is the starting point for communications. From there, it'll talk to the meters. And like I said, I might talk to Rebecca, and Rebecca may talk to Kurt. As we hop around, so when you put it in, if you have one downtown, you may not necessarily want to put a meter 3 miles away, you might have to put. You know, a section fanned out, so you can still do a modular type of setup like that, so that you can concentrate on this side of town. Realizing that you might not read a meter that's 5 miles away if you don't afford to get that.
Another thing about it too is we have to be starting with, obviously starting with electric, you can't go and put gas, anything in. On the radio side, because they're talking to the electric meters. Now, we do have with the out of town gas and water, we could put in, you could do some of those at first. If you have it on the cell network, which we would have some of those on cell, because that is. Gonna be not through. The infrastructure you'd have it on the separate. And so you're kind of integrating the 2 different type of systems together, so.
So on your cost analysis, 10 years of cost, I see you got it projected out. Is that doing that cost citywide?
Yes, that's everything. If everything was done citywide, yes. So that number, you know, we can manipulate it accordingly. So if you said, hey, we're gonna do electric only in the first year, then that would be the electric side, and you would have fees associated. And you would have the capital purchase to add the water, the capital purchase to add gas. And then kind of go from there, or if you said, hey, we're gonna deploy half of the electric, so 1,000 points, then you'd have. So those numbers might fluctuate a little bit, but the way the fees are set up is you have a capital purchase, which is under the one time. And you have the recurring, the software, the service, the maintenance, and the support that you get from Lansing here and Fletcher Rhinelander. So.
We're talking about electric and gas, and what happens with water?
Water's the same, it's basically this is the type of system that basically would hook into the meters. Put this in your lid, that then speaks with the electric meters.
Okay, the biggest reason I'm asking, several years ago, I remember we started putting a different style.
We have, those meters are compatible, we just have,
Okay.
that's the meters we've been using. So any new meters that we bought were the ones that were compatible with the system, so that's what we've been only buying and putting in, so.
Okay,
This is the residential, and then the taller one would be commercial and industrial. That's the electric meter. The gas and water, because it's battery operated, we'll talk to that. The other piece of infrastructure that we have is these things here, and they're basically just an extender, so they are if you have a gap, we'll put one of these in, so the electric will have a hopping through point where water and gas can talk to this. So that's a piece of the infrastructure that will fulfill the network where there's holes where you may not be meters because there's a city park and you want to get across it. Type thing. From
This is just what would connect to the front of the gas meter,
our current.
our current gas meters.
and then
Now, granted, you'd be putting these in for the cell ones, so you'd have to change some meters out because of the cellular network for the out of town. That's what we have gas meters in town for the residentials, now you have to find ones that work with the industrial and commercial side larger meters. But for your typical, the majority of them, which are the normal house meters, this basically fits right over the reader device.
So when you said remotely operated. How often do we have to change batteries, who buys them, and how long does it take to swap out?
the water and gas are both made. Designed for 20 years of service on that particular meter, you can actually change the battery out if there were the case. So you can still sell battery, but we're not planning on being up to do anything with batteries for that long period of time.
No different probably, Kyle, than us doing meter changes and things of that nature.
No, I just figured if they all go out at the same time. We would need to plan for buying, 8,000, whatever size batteries.
Now, I mean. In the water, the battery is not replaceable, so you would have to do a meter replacement. Everything that we sell to you guys has a 5-year warranty on it. So that's.
And it's all
Standard
phased.
warranty is 8 months with Landis, but Fletcher Reinhardt requires 5 years from them, so we passed 5 years on.
And to kind of stand on what Rodney mentioned about phasing this, when you do something like this, and we would go forward. Basically, part of our initiative would be where, how much we want to do, how long we want to take, where are we gonna start? You know, we're gonna kind of work here, get this area going, and then you could. Work on electric in this area, and then you could start, okay, do we wanna start working on gas and water over there, or do we wanna get all the electric, and then build off? We can build the plan, you can build the plan to however we wanna do it.
Well, when we originally started talking about this, we were gonna do it in phases, but.
It's gonna be phased, you know,
I thought you said there was something we had to do first.
you have to do electric first, the electric.
But
Before you can do any of the gas and water in the other, in certain areas, the electric infrastructure has to be there first.
The only
I just didn't
exception
read it
is,
correctly.
yeah, the other exception is the 60 or so meters outside of town, which would be cellular. They could be put in, the difference there, instead of popping through the system to the collector, they go up to the cell system and come out. So,
So Josh, this would eliminate, we went citywide, it would eliminate the meter reader position.
Yep.
And then we would have utility bills, we wouldn't estimate anymore, it would be month to month, right?
That's correct. Like I said, plus with the water usages, again, hey, if somebody's using water 2 o'clock in the morning, we can set up alarms. If I know Highland has a different system, but I know this system does it as well, that. You can look at a map and say, these meters are out, and that's what Scott already kind of mentioned, that you can kind of see that. These meters are out, okay, well. Why is only half that circuit out? Again, well, there's gotta be a fuse somewhere in there that where you jump in, and now you can. Instead of trying to run the line like we do now to try and find the problem. We can look at a map and probably. You can eliminate a lot of time real quick by going, hey, go check this area.
Now this will do disconnect flows, correct?
Correct.
yes,
Now, how does it make that decision? Is there a
It's-
timing thing?
No, it's done, it's somebody at the desk
It's done manually here?
through the system.
And we could also use that for emergencies, right? Fires, things like that.
exactly.
And because I could have access to that, so if you have something where you have an emergency fire, I can go in there, and you can tell me you're at this residence, I could log into the system and go, they're off.
And it could be done, like you said, from a cell phone or from a terminal, computer hooked up, wherever, this is all gonna be hooking to a. IP address where you have access to it, and all you guys will have access. What's that?
On load shading, based on that.
Yeah, and like you said, you can do some load limiting stuff too, so like in particular case, like if you didn't want to turn somebody off during the winter, you could actually set a limit in the meter and say, okay, you're only getting 50 amps. Yeah, and then they would, as soon as they go above that, it would kick them off, and then they would know, hey, we can't run our whatever. Computer, gaming system or whatever 24/7, but it'll run, the essentials, so. But yeah, you're right, it's. When there's someone tampers with the meter, if someone accidentally bumps it, falls off, or somebody takes it and spins it around, you'll get a message that says that it lost power, and it came back and got power. So you'll have that piece of information.
How long is the usage or stored or backed up? Well, any information really.
Yeah, I mean. Typically, we store the data 45 days in the head end, but the meter will store more than that day, so if we needed to go back and get it, now you can also download those files into a format safe more than that, but it won't be in the system. Some places look at a meter data management system and bring all the data. Utility your size, that's not really something that you guys need to look at. Awesome. cost benefits not really gonna be there for that, but for what you'll have this data, and like I said, if you wanna store from files, so like if you wanna look at last August data, you could turn up those files and or this one.
Plus it'll be in the billing software by then, once you pull it in, it's in the billing software too, you'll be able to go back and look at it.
Exactly.
So if we did this. Our workers would be essentially handed off completely.
You're still gonna have some spots where you're gonna have to go check, why is this one not reading?
But anything that has to do with that equipment, we won't have to do anything.
We put it up, and then if we have to replace something, then we would go replace it, you know, like we would anything else, but
we
once
install also.
we would do that.
So,
How much do one of those cost if it breaks after 5 years?
so, like this device here, $6,500-ish, something like that. These are like 2,000. These things are very rock solid. These have a little, because they're a little more complex. But yeah, I mean, we don't see a lot of infrastructure failure.
No difference than probably some of our capacitor banks and other stuff that we have on our system already.
Yeah. Exactly, I mean, it's all solid state, it's got protection, like, it's everything, so it's built and designed to last. Doesn't mean that, what we would do is. You'll have a couple of those and then you'll have a spare, so something happens, you pop the spare in. Because it hops, it's also self-healing, so if you were to lose one, you still could get reads, it would just go around that system and figure out how to get around. So in other words, Connie, you talk normally with Rebecca, well, if Rebecca's out, I mean, you talk to Alan. But you're still gonna get the data out of the system, it just may take a little bit more pass to do it. And each one of those hops is a tenth of a second, so we're not talking about hours a day, we're talking about still getting reads in a timely manner, so. And like I said, once it's in, then you can start looking at some of the advanced stuff, how do we map it better so that it's clarity for understanding, outage stuff. How do we look at voltage analysis, what do you wanna do with losses? Look at it by feeder, look at it by substation, look at it by behind the feed, whatever makes sense. But you gotta have the meters in place.
You can start simple and get really complex, really.
Right, we can spend a half day here talking about it.
Yeah. Like I said, you've been in this space for 40 years, so I can probably spend a lot of time.
Basically, for us to come up with how much money we would be spending. We need to designate a certain area that we want to start with.
Yeah, it would just be something I would incorporate into the budget. We'd incorporate money into the budget, and each year we're gonna do X amount of dollars.
So what would be a minimum starting point?
First off, to get started, you're gonna need a lot of the upfront infrastructure, so you're gonna need your gateways, you're gonna need your routers and everything, so that's. Your big bulk of your one-time costs. Right, upfront, and then you can sit there and say, I wanna buy. 500 electric meters, and while we're in that area, we're gonna do 200 of the gas meters and 200 of the water. Whatever, and then figure out how, we just kind of split and, pick and choose and. Such.
So. First year projection, what?
If you were to do this, you got 1 point, this is a 10 years, so even if you say. So take that 340, make it 170 for 5 years, you're looking at 1.4, you're looking at 200,000, that's 5 years. If you're 250. You're, $250,000 to $300,000 a year split.
Yeah, so if you look at this chart on the last page, the one-time fees are over $1 million, so if you did $250,000. It'd be almost 4 years, but then you have that one-time deployment services and that stuff that's usually up front. So the first year, you're not just, you put 250,000 down towards it, you might have to spend 100,000 of it on the deployment.
You may not do as much of meters the first year.
Right. So you may do 500, you might do 200 meters in the infrastructure and get the program started, and then year 2, you might buy 800 meters. Because you don't have the upfront costs.
A small utility like us. What kind of a number do you think would be a good number to start with? Just any kind of.
I mean, to me, I would say. The infrastructure you need to put in because it gives you the redundancy, and right now you're only talking a couple of gateways, so, you know, like I said, that 50,000 is a no brainer. I would look at starting with no less than 200, 250 electric meters. That would probably be a good starting point. Just because it makes you system that's running in a good region of your town, and then you can start looking at water and gas.
I mean, you can also say you wanna go ahead and do the cellular up front right away and take that off the plate. You know, the gas meters, and so you can get that side of it out. You know, there's lots of ways of going about it.
Traditionally, what we see is people that say, hey, we're gonna do it in 5 years, they end up coming back to us and saying, we want to do it free because we see the value and we want to get to start doing it without a system wide sooner instead of later. That's traditionally what happens. From our standpoint and from Landis's, they will hold the pricing for 2 years with a 3-year delivery schedule. So in other words, after that, so if you can get 4 or 5, there might be a CPI adjustment to the price. But that's how we typically do it, but yeah, we'll see, like I said, we got a 5-year plan and. 9 months into it, only a 3-year plan.
So 3 years for our situation is doable.
Yes,
I wonder, Josh, if you could work with them and bring us back a plan over 3 years. This is kind of an implementation with costs on it, that we could adopt something like that, or?
I mean, I did have a conversation with Scott previously regarding like the electric meters. They said you could actually have somebody come in. Company come in or whatever, it was like $30,000,
yeah, I mean,
all the electric meters are put in.
we've got a contractor that we use and it's about $16 a meter. And we'll come in and drop in meters all day long.
That'll be done.
And you could, I mean, so if you wanted to buy all electric meters, now granted, you gotta figure out how it's gonna fit into the budget. But you could almost, if you wanted somebody to come in, you could basically employ your electric as fast as you wanted to. As long as the budget allowed.
But I think what I'm trying to figure out, and I think what we're trying to figure out is, you know, what kind of money are we talking?
Year 1, 2, and 3, like it was over 3 years.
You know, yeah, I understand, you know, the gateway's this much, meters,
Yeah,
this much meters. And we're gonna do, you know,
Take 1.2 divided by 1.2 is buying your equipment. The 1.2 million on the cost estimate is buying your equipment for everything.
okay, gotcha.
So that's for everything. The 341 is the 34,000 times 10. So that the 1.2 is your gateways, your meters, your ultrasonics, your stuff for your water.
Yeah, this reoccurring, that's gonna be.
It's 1.5, no matter how we slice it.
And that's just showing over a 10-year period. It's gonna be $34,000 a year for the support. Just for having the system and the manage the system and everything. But it's for the sheer materials, 1.2.
So if you wanted to do it in 3 years, you say, okay, let's do 500,000 in year 1, you do 350,000 in year 2 and 3, and we got.
And that's without a third party install, right?
Correct.
Josh, how many of the compatibles do you think we've already got installed?
On the water, all the new ones, any new meter we put in, it's hard to say. We still have quite a bit of the older style water meters. Never had the water and talking with other municipalities that have this. That's the bear to get going. We have a lot of old style centers, so then you're worried about, you know. You may have a few handful of water meters that. I'm not ready to tackle that one because you have to dig up the highway to get to the main because that's an old setter. So you may have a handful that you gotta go read. But you can get the bulk of them off. You know. Most all Fieldstone, all of those estates. For the most part, is probably the new meters. Anything we put in when we're replacing meters, it was all new. You know, so all the meters we replaced throughout the town, they're all the newer census meters.
So water's not, and then on gas. you can make a decision, do you want to put the ultrasonic, or do you want to put the old style diaphragm back in? One of the advantages of the ultrasonic, it measures pressure, temperature, and a bunch of other stuff too, so it gives you a lot more information.
Look, we have our rate stations and our readers throughout town too, that do our pressure regularly checks, so.
Now, are these able to, these gas meters ever manually able to be shut off, like on site? For fire department purposes or?
They're still,
It'll
it still has the outlet valve and everything else, so it's, you look at the top there, that's, one's the inlet, one's the outlet. So it's still gonna have the riser pipe instead of the meter you see now, there's gonna be a shut off valve, that's what you're gonna see instead of the meter you see now.
Okay,
Same mechanical shut off.
okay.
You still have the manual shut off. Yeah, I can work with them and kind of get an idea from 3 or 4 or 5, however we're gonna lay this out, kind of get an idea where we're at. Maybe better idea on strategic placements.
I'm sure we're all looking for some more questions probably, so. I don't know if you want to put it back on your agenda at some point.
Yeah, I'll keep it going, I'll kind of continue to work with them. I see Chris every time he comes down, he usually stops in and sees how things are going, so. You know, so we'll continue to kind of gather the information, put some ideas together. And in the meantime, if you guys do have any questions, get a hold of me. I can always get your information, get Scott's information out to you, or if you want to pass it on to me, and I can send it over to them as well.
Yeah, anything we can do to support you, just let us know, and that's our goal, like I said, we wanna partner with you guys and. It's what we need, want to be, sometimes it's straight path and sometimes it's not. I like my daughter, going, works.
We'll take about, 500,000.
What's that?
It's, we'll take about 500,000. If you want to help us out.
There you go. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'll pay for a wedding.
I think, like I said, we'll probably have more stuff in the future, but it's nothing, things that we can progress on. Like, we'll keep it on the agenda and keep progressing forward with it, so.
No problem, like I said, my goal was to kind of introduce a lot of the functionality of the AMI, just to value that, and that's where you get your payback from.
Yep.
Start looking at what it costs to roll a truck and to do a current disconnect. You know, if you do 10 disconnects a month, that's 20 trips, and if each trip $200, you spent.
Sure.
Do the math, 20 times 200, you got $4,000 right there that goes away because it's a button push. So, you know, there's ways to get your payback, and then like I said, support your customers and your citizens with giving them more information so that they can make better decisions on how they're using their power. You know. So it's great, so once again, thank you all for having us, and thank you. Anything you need from me before we pack up? Or Kevin, Chris?
There's no such thing as a simple question, so get him the job. I am here every 2 weeks. So.
I know I would like for Josh to at least put in how he would like to roll it out. How much it would, cost, where we would start, where we would wanna start, like what neighborhoods, how many houses. And then the cost savings of meter reader and just a proposed plan.
Yeah.
With cost with it is what I would like to see. And keep this going, because this would be great.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, move on. All right, under new business, I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next item is recommendation for a co-op student worker.
Yes, we've been doing this in the past. I did have a interested student, gonna be a senior next year. I would like to recommend hiring Ty Plus at the current part-time rate of pay pending physical and drug testing for the co-op position.
Okay, any questions? Not, I'd like to make a recommendation to hire Ty Walls.
Okay.
All in favor? Motion carried. Any other public comments?
Just real quick, I just want to let everybody know, I'll put it in my weekly as well, that I got our welcome packet binder for the Public Works Mutual Aid Network showed up, so we are officially members now of the mutual aid network. Okay,
Also one where everybody know the overflow pipe if it installed at the golf course like that. That is installed.
Any other comments? I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:39.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Finance Committee.
The mayor, I'll call finance committee to order at 6:39. Myself, Alderman non-candidate, invoice, and Shield are all present. For old business, nothing to report. I will call for a motion to approve prior month's meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. There is no maturing CDs at this time. Looking at the financial dashboard, we're currently at 8% through our fiscal year. Revenue is at 6% for the forecast, with expenses being at 3% forecast. We have $874,036.31. Cash on hand and checking. Next up. Will be the 2026 Energy Transition Community Grant Application. I believe we're wanting permission to apply for this from the council. I'll actually have Jill explain it further.
Yes, so we are anticipating that to be released at any moment. Last year, it looked like it was released on June 2nd, so we would assume it would be coming sometime soon. We just want permission that once the NOPO drops, that we can go ahead and apply for the 2026 version of this grant. Some of the other things that we kind of talked about, just FYI, every community is guaranteed at least 50,000 with this grant. It can be something, and this grant is really designed for helping communities recap funding lost from the coal plants and the mines that are due to close. They prioritize projects that focus on our utilities, and cost savings, efficiency. This is presentation that we send. I can guarantee I could probably get you about 50 grand for that, so. We've got it since 2023, it's a repetitive grant, so that's just something to maybe keep in the back of your mind.
Okay, with that, did you have anything else on it?
No.
Okay, with that being said, I will call for a motion. To approve Jill to apply for the Energy Transition Community Grant.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Next up, if you guys refer to the piece of paper in the packet, it's a letter of credit request. Gives us a little bit more flexibility on funding and how we can put up collateral for applying for loans. And on that note, I will actually pass that over to Liz to explain a little further on that.
So what this really is, it's just another option for the city to secure their funds. Right now, the city uses pledge securities with Dietrich, that's how they protect the city's funds, they use pledge securities as collateral. This letter of credit is another option that the city can use. It is through the Federal Home Loan Bank, which is also named under our investment policy in our city ordinance, so we're still protected. We do not use any level of security, but it's another option for the city to use as security for our funds. There's really no big benefit to the city. It's more of a benefit to the bank and the community. It allows the bank to loan out more funds to the community because it's not seen as a liability. So Dietrich just offered this option to us to use along with our pledge securities for our city funds.
And it's just an option, it's nothing.
It's an option, we don't have to do it, I just thought I would present it to the council if you guys are interested in using a letter of credit along with pledge securities.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Liz on that?
Is it something that you think we should be interested in, or we should?
I mean, it's very secure, we're not gonna lose anything records money, and they said that. So it'd be like 50 to 75% of the city funds would be covered with this letter of credit. And Dietrich said that we would get our money if the bank would fail. We would get our money back faster with the letter of credit versus pledge securities.
It's just one more option, and as Liz stated, it actually helps the bank put more money in the community. So this is being more community minded in how we cover, because FDIC only goes so far, then we have pledged securities. The pledge security is 4 days, that's the only difference.
An option.
Anybody else have any questions? With that, I move that the city council approve, or I make a motion. That we approve the option by the city depository bank to use. To the use of a letter of credit as a method of collateralization of city funds in excess of FDIC insurance limits while still having pledged securities.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That moves us to the ITEP grant prep. I'm gonna actually hand that over to Jill Genja. Everyone, you guys wants to go first on that.
Sure, so the ITEP grant is coming soon, it will be opening in August, as we. The leadership team kind of got together and we were talking about projects that we could potentially do, a project to create a sidewalk from the Lincoln Trail, walking trail, or Lincoln Park walking trail to Field Streets to connect, and create a safer passageway was something that we started talking about. We realized it was gonna be something bigger than we were gonna have to probably get an engineer involved. In talking with Oaks, they kind of came down, heard, and kind of visited what we proposed to do with the ITEP grant. And they have given us a proposal that, they have experience with ITEP and writing the grants. And so similarly, I think they would like to do business with the city. And they think that our project is a good qualifying project for this grant, and so they wrote a proposal to help us do the preliminary engineering and write the ITAP grant for us. Yeah, anything else left?
The project we found out, and as you read in Jill's weekly. We're eligible for 10% matching. So for every $1 million, we owe $100,000. With that being said, the Oaks representative did tell us that the bigger projects is what they're awarding. So rather than doing just that piece from the Stephen Drive, where our walking path now ends and going to field. He suggested we go all the way up Country Club, we connect Rats Park. That way possibly RBAA and connect in with Lions Park. As well as come back the other direction and connect to Rats Park. On the east end of Rats Park, maybe coming down Lynn. Possibly even going through the property that Dollar General has donated to the city for a park. Then get an easement through Dollar General and crossing the highway there to connect the parks. And they would put the flashing beacons up again. So, you know, our at first we thought $1 million project, the city's gonna have to do a $500,000 match. It's not, it's only 10%. That's kind of where we're at. They did tell us that the state average for getting ITEP grants. And I understand he's the salesman, but he said it's 30%. They average about 50%. They do these all the time and they have no. So they've been very successful.
Think we have any questions on it?
You're looking to
Basically, approve that.
contract with them. And to come up with a concept and. There's nothing really.
The idea, he did tell us that $7,000 is about half of what a normal grant would cost us. It would, this is kind of an introductory rate for us. I think we learned with Farnsworth and the Oslo grant, I think that was double this price.
And Jill, we talked about that this morning, that they're really trying to earn our business.
They're really trying to run our business. And if they get the grant, then. You know, as part of obtaining the grant for us, it would be a given that then we would hire them to do the plan specs and construction inspection. And the grant does limit, what did he say it was, 15-20%, anyway, there's a limit as to how high they can go. That's all within the grant as to how much we would have to pay for engineering and surveying and all that kind of stuff.
So this, I guess, My question, this isn't a set plan for anything, it's just to do a concept. of
Yes, sir.
What we want.
Yes, yes.
And we'll let her actually. Apply for the art, right, grant application too.
Right,
Yeah,
It would be sort of a master plan with exhibits, there wouldn't be a whole lot of engineering to it yet. That would come later, provided we do get the grant.
But they're going to be able to give us things like cost estimates, price listings, those types of things that we almost would need to engage with an engineer to tell us what we would need in order to make those cost estimates out. To have an accurate, proposal of what we want to apply for.
anybody else have any questions, concerns? With that, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we contract Wilson Associates. With our scope of services not to exceed $7,000 for the high-tech grant application.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried. Next up is the Discover Downstate Illinois Fall Winter Ad. We got information on that in our packet. The cost of this is always split with the chamber in years past, so our cost for a full page ad would be $700. Anybody have any questions or disagreements with doing this or anything? I'll go ahead and make a motion that we purchase a full page ad in the amount of $700 to the cost of city of Bethel. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next up is the Lincoln Park Master Plan. I'm gonna throw that one over to Jill as well.
So this is, in working with Farnsworth, Jeff and I have met with them. Virtually, they showed us some concepts, that here's a list of things that the community has, requested. We shared the results of our survey that we did with them this spring. And the following, what you have at your, print out at your desk here, all the images of the plan are in front of you. So basically, it includes features of new playgrounds, dog park. It has the additional parking lot, restroom buildings, a repurposed area for the tennis courts. I did ask them if we decide to keep the tennis courts, would there be an option for us to still have at least maybe one tennis court and a skate park side by side, and they said that that was doable as well. So, we just kind of wanted to throw this out there for you to be able to look at, get your initial feedback. If there's anything that you see glaringly that we need to address, that either you like or you don't like, that's kind of the feedback that we're looking for right now. Once we get your feedback, we'd like to do the same with the Parks Committee. Have a public hearing sometime in July, so that way we can get some feedback to Farnsworth, because they will need to start and be prepared to write the OSLAD grant application, by August 1st.
Guess I'd be curious why we're putting a skate park back in when we just took it out.
Well, we took it out because the equipment was failing, and it was dangerous. But the need and the activity is still something that I think is desirable for the community.
Jill, I think it might help to reshare once you get back, some of that data that we collected to show where the high needs or high responses were, what folks want. And that's what helped drive some of this. What we think people want and what those people actually say they want can be two different ideas.
I think, I mean, no action needs to be taken on this right now, we're just, maybe put as a placeholder for next month, will you have the Parks Committee meet before we meet next month?
Actually not, they're skipping July.
They are skipping July, but.
And they don't meet in July, I don't think. So they would not meet until August 5th. Unless they could pull a special meeting or something.
Do you think we need to have them do a special meeting, didn't you say something about August 1st deadline? If they needed to start applying?
The grant application, the grant opens August 1st, so it doesn't have to be completed by August 1st, but ideally, we would like to have an idea of what our master plan is as we're going.
So we can communicate that.
Yeah, And I mean, this is something that Tim stopped by today and I shared this with them and I told him kind of the general timeline too. I'm like, hey, we wanna get this to you and your people for you guys to review it as well. So even if they don't have a formal meeting, I think there's other ways that we can share it. And I think we can have the public hearing too regardless, and if they want to come and are able to come to the public hearing too, that could be something. That they have a voice in, but if they're meeting on August 5th, I would think we could probably. Talk to that.
Okay. I will reconvene for committee meeting in August.
Do you want us to have something sooner? Would it help you out?
We need to have a public hearing in July to get public input on this,
Would you do that at committee meetings?
probably, yeah.
So we would hold a public hearing on July 20th.
To get some public, more just feedback and, hey, what do you think about this?
We advertise that in the paper as well. We just put that in the
If
paper.
we have to.
Does anybody else have any questions for Jill?
So do you need anything from the Parks Committee at all prior to that hearing?
Not really, I don't think it's
Not necessarily.
required.
Okay,
I want to have input, we got,
sure.
but I don't think there's anything that we have to officially have formalized by that way.
Next up was public comments, anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I will adjourn in finance at 6:55.
Okay, next up is personnel committee.
Also, personal committee order at 6:55, myself, Joe, John Hebert, Parson McHale here. We have no old business, under new business, make a motion of the department meeting minutes from May 18th, 2026.
Thank you.
All fair?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, the IML annual conference is September 17th through 19th. In years past, we've opened up to all city officials and department heads. Make a motion that we pay the entry fee and stuff like the for the duration of the conference. Thank you. All fair? Opposed? Motion passes. Any public comments in the good city? Hearing none, I'll close it at 6:55.
Okay, next up this evening is public health and safety.
Okay, call public health and safety at 6:50. Excuse me, 6:56. Myself, Dojan, Hebert, Mueller, and Parsons are in attendance. Full business ordinance number 1584. This is an ordinance allowing golf carts. Just, it's basically the same as the side-by-side ordinance now. Only it was adapted to fit golf carts.
Correct, we're using street legal golf carts, which is a little bit faster golf cart than what would typically be used on a golf course.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 1584.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Let's see, approval of permanent meeting minutes. I make a motion, we approve the May 18th, 2026 minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Departmental activity report. I don't think that got the finance now. Nothing out of the ordinary, right?
No, I would, nothing.
Okay, if anybody's got any questions for John, just let him know. Moving on. Approval to hire a part-time police officer. Pending the psyche eval, drug screening and physical. At the current rate of $24.89 an hour. I'll let John speak.
So we currently have Ms. Hudson here that is interested in the part-time position, possibly going into the full-time position that make them available. You guys have any questions for her? She's currently part-time certified. We would have to, if we decided to take her on full-time, send her to a 2-week transition course.
Any questions? Okay, I'll make a motion, we hire, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name.
It's Raj.
Raj Hudson.
What I said,
It's Raj.
As the part-time police officer. for the city.
I'll say.
In favor?
Would you mind spelling your first name?
well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's MIRAHJ.
Thank you.
Okay, while we're on this subject, John just mentioned, a possibility of moving into a full-time position. We are still actively looking for a full-time police officer. And I don't know if anybody's got any questions for John. I got a few. Susan and I kind of met and talked about it a little bit. And I learned some things from John and from Susan and our part-time officers have their own equipment. So our only investment in them is a psyche valve, physical, and a drug school. Now, once they move into a full-time position, then we have to supply them with the best taser,
The sidearm that we currently provide, and the rifle that'd be in the patrol rifle that'd be in the vehicle. All the things that the normal full-time officers currently have. We provided. And typically that's gonna be in the squad car anyway, not the sidearm, but the patrol rifle and the shotgun will still be in them.
that's another thing I want to talk about before we're done here, but do you have a time frame of what you would like to move into a full-time position, or do you have? I mean, I know you'd like to tomorrow, but
I'm looking at 3 months.
3 months. Then we get into because in 3 months, Ashley's gonna be back at school.
She'll be back in school in August.
Right, which is going to use one of our vehicles.
Right.
And we are scheduled to buy a new vehicle this year.
Yes, I got it in the packet.
Yes, it's in the packet. Anyways, with the one vehicle. And putting another full-time officer. With that so will that suffice to like cover us as far as vehicles and police officers are?
The new vehicle will make sure that every active full-time officer has a patrol vehicle. Currently, with the previous situation, we had an officer sharing a vehicle with another full-time officer, and it works out. We just gotta make sure that their shifts don't conflict.
But with this, okay, so you're gonna keep the vehicle you have, with this vehicle, you'll have one for each officer.
Yes.
Okay. And Susan had brought up, I'm not sure where you said, somewhere up in North, that sells vehicles, police vehicles already equipped or hit or roll.
That's
You're in it, or?
band name, it's a Ford store. And I know it's like Monroe, I can't think of it, I did check into it tomorrow. It is a little bit more expensive to go that route. We're looking at probably low 60s by the time I was done. Getting the same equipment that I would get if I bought the Dodge Durango from Milligan's and had it equipped through the place in Godfrey. That's gonna be mid-50s. So we're looking at about $7,000 more to go.
I have one already equipped and ready to roll.
Yes,
Is that what you're saying?
they equip some of the equipment, they don't equip all of them. There's some lights in there, there's some things that are in there.
And you feel that we're gonna be okay with just ordering one like we've done in the
I
past?
think we'd be better off, we'd get more equipment that way. By the state, what we've been doing,
And you can deal with the delay that's gonna come with that.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, after, depending on who we hire as full-time. Like, the academy, certifications. Where are we at money wise? I know you've brought different things up to me before.
If I remember correctly. The testing of it is pretty standard, the 2 week transitions. I had to go back and look, about $1,600 for the 2 week transition. To have somebody from part-time to full-time.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd be looking for somebody full-time qualified. I didn't research sending somebody fresh into the academy yet, I haven't been over there yet. Somebody with no experience, I didn't look into somebody with no experience sending into academy.
That would be an interesting number that, because you and I kind of talked the other day and. Everything's changed. We've never done that in the past, but everything's changed and we may be to the point where we have to get an officer, just to fill a position. We kind of do it with linemen, we do it with water and sewer operators, well certified, they send them all to school and, So I don't know if it's time for us to take a look at that being an option.
Prior to doing that, do we need to come up with some sort of a no compete clause if we send them to the academy that they can't be poached a month later?
Well,
Because that's what they're doing in the city.
they can do that.
Say, I don't think.
No
we
way
can
to
do
train. So say we say you can't leave us for 2 years, well, they leave in a year. Then it basically, the money's prorated, they just pay back a year's worth of training. Or if they leave in whatever, a year and a half, they pay back half. So. You can't get reimbursed for the full amount because they have to be trained as a police officer to be a police officer before we do. So it's kind of part of doing businesses.
So we couldn't do anything like that, right? Before the no compete.
No compete, avoided that.
Yeah, well, how much are we paying the number, $75,000? $75,000 is the limit, over $75,000 you can include a non-compete. Is that just wages or do you figure in fringes? How sticky does that get? I would have to double check.
Okay. But basically, yeah, no, we're gonna, we kind of. You would, oh. They would stick around and obviously if somebody was willing to invest in them, I think they would be willing to invest in you. So. What else think of anything? I think that's kind of.
I think we need to finish our vote. Finish the vote.
Yeah. Okay. I
don't think we have a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if we had a motion. Okay, we got a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carried. Okay, that's where we're at right now. Thank you. Let's see, moving on. The next is approval from CTS to replace police department cameras. And I think is that going to be kind of a joint thing between
Yes, it's
city
gonna
hall and police department?
be our equipment and be updating the contract.
The monthly, the service agreement with the city hall. So currently, the city hall cameras, we had a 1-year subscription to the software with the service that we had. So I just actually received notification that our service is up in August, so we are up to. If we want to go ahead and move forward with another service contract with them. if you decide to go with the same program for the police department cameras, then they would lump us together, and so we would just basically be included in that subscription, right? So we would all be under one umbrella.
I'll give you a background, the police department cameras are failing, basically, we can't download anything off of it at this point, it's an old antiquated system. Basically, you gotta put a thumb drive in it and download it. The thought process was to go ahead and unify it, have the same type of cameras that are already currently in City Hall, rather than have two separate systems operating differently. That's kind of why we reached out to CGS to see what it would cost to replace ours with the ones that are currently in City Hall, and then maybe extend this first plan. So
City Hall needs to be replaced no matter what.
City Hall is not gonna be replaced, we're just renewing our service contract, so we only have a 1 year service
Current cameras, we can not use them as.
for the PD.
But PD needs to be replaced. in the-
That, I'm sorry, I said City Hall, I meant Mystic One, but.
Yes, okay, instead I called CPS out twice to get them to download.
So,
stuff off that.
We need to replace them,
Yes,
okay? And we're thinking about, the obvious thing, with some with a company that's. Gonna support. What we currently have. What,
What's the difference from one set to the other here? Is it the combined or?
So the version 1 that you have of that quote. That is if you would just have a 1 year camera license, which is what we did with the City Hall, we just had the 1 year camera license, so that's. The 1 year license plus the actual equipment, cameras, wiring to get it all functional. So that is on version 1. On version 2, you have the same thing, only thing with a 3 year service contract instead of a 1 year service contract. If you see the note on page 2 of version 2, if you want to go to a 5 year service licensing, it would just add $4,000 to that quote. So I have been really impressed with the cameras that we have at City Hall. They work beautifully. They're so easy to use. I can go back, see history, see who's entering. I kind of wish I had more cameras because it's so wonderful to be able to have the technology to see what is going on in and around City Hall. So especially with a police department and an interview room, I would highly recommend the system. I would definitely want to go with that. One thing to note on your quotes though, after CPS, we were kind of going back and forth and I was asking him about the monthly service. He said that after reviewing it, the monthly service should only be $59 regardless. I guess what they normally do is they charge their monthly service based on a percentage of the equipment that is valued in the quote. In this case, because of the service agreements, it's not necessarily just the equipment. He said that that needs to be corrected, it's $59 regardless of 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year.
So is that the customer support line?
That is the monthly reoccurring service,
the 143, you're saying it's 59.
correct,
And then on the other one, instead of 93.67, it's 59?
correct,
Okay, so it is that customer service line on this forms?
yes, it is, forward is what I'm saying. You have to look at that.
So when we talked about this last year and we talked about wanting to have cameras that shoot out and project out into the park and all that. I don't actually know what we do and don't have.
Okay.
What areas are we lacking that you would want to add and can they do it?
I think, yes, they could do it. They can do anything if you can. But I think one of the areas that we're lacking currently is the mayor's corner office door. Anybody coming in or out of that door, we don't have visual on. So that would be an area that I would really like. We don't have anything internally. I don't know if we necessarily need it unless it's like with the stairwell. I could think of security maybe, and nothing externally at this moment. Just because it was so.
Talk about doing the parking.
Yeah, I would like to see external
well, I think.
something if we can, or at least find out what it costs us.
The reasoning that we hadn't really done all that is because there's people in and out here 24 hours a day. And there's police presence all the time.
I thought we had included that initially last year, like
No,
in the
That
quotes,
corner to go out there, yeah.
because we eliminated it.
But let's go back to where we started.
Yes.
Bottom line, police department, what's it gonna cost us to replace those cameras?
So
And do the service that you. What you guess?
I would recommend doing at least the 3-year service agreement.
Which
So
is-
that is going to cost you. Just over 13,000 in costs for materials, cameras, the licensing. And then it's going to be another $59 for the monthly customer support plus service.
So,
The one-time cost of $13,024.10. And a monthly cost of $59.
Now, technically, are we in these agreements for 5 years?
No,
And
I-
that's small print, or how does that work?
So I had questioned Ryan about that small print that you saw on page 6 under section 6.2.
Yeah.
That's standard language that CTS uses in their contracts, so they said that they would, whatever service agreement we would decide to go with, they would alter their agreement to mimic the service that we select.
Okay, so that'll be 12 months, 36 months, whatever matches. Okay, thanks for checking into that.
so if I make a motion to approve 14,000 for new equipment, that would be enough money. And monthly, or is it monthly or annually? Monthly service.
$59.
Well. Monthly. That'll never change.
For 3 years, they won't. That's a service agreement.
Yeah, what was it, 59?
$59.
59. Okay. I make a motion that we approve to buy new cameras for the police department. And for not to exceed $14,000. And we had 2 separate motions in this. And to include a $59 monthly service. For 3 years. For a 3-year period.
I'll say.
All in favor? Motion carried. Okay. Next thing is the approval of. Now, this is the actual quote, John.
Yes, I put the quote of the equipment and the car.
I make a motion, we approve purchasing a. What year is it? 2026 Durango, not to exceed $43,000.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now I'll make a motion to approve the equipment for the Durango. Is this a good price, John, or should we make it? Could it possibly be a little more than this?
Yeah, make it 19.
19. Equipment from Datatronics. For the Durango not to exceed $19,000.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried. Okay. Storage shed for the shooting range. And you got over there.
We typically, we go down the shooting range. We have some difficulty, we like to have a shed down there, to store our targets and our backstops and our stands and all that stuff. We used to use the old ticket booth that they used to have in the high school. And then that got moved up here to the community garden. So we'd like to go ahead and replace it. I found one online, or not online, with Rich Shimwell for a little over $2,000. It's like a 6x8 shed. We put down there just for storing some of our stuff for the shooting range. No ammo would be kept in there, nothing that would be worth anything if they stole it. It would just be more for convenience to have it down.
Dry storage, basically, when you need that.
And I don't think, I didn't put it on for, I didn't bring a quote or anything, I think it's more of a discussion. See, if everybody's be good with putting the shed down there.
Yeah, I what's anybody think?
That is right, you want that.
It's on the agenda. we can make a motion.
I've got the quote on my phone, I didn't put it in the packet.
Well, like, say not to exceed, what, 3,000?
Yeah.
And you have money in your equipment budget for that,
The
correct?
quote I got is $2,032, but yeah. So not to exceed 3 years, I'm sure we'll see that.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we approve a storage building for the police department. Not to exceed 3,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of hiring part-time crossing guard. I'm gonna let you explain what's going on there.
Well, it was supposed to be in the packet, I did give it to, I didn't get it written somehow. We have a crossing guard that, will be unavailable this next year, that would like to stay on the roster. But that would leave us without a crossing guard. I had another crossing guard, her first name's Helen, I only said I don't have the, thing with me, but she was interested in filling this position. And that's the reason I was gonna ask to fill that crossing guard position.
You're just looking for approval to fill that position.
Right. You'd have to do all the blood work and everything too.
I'll make a motion that we fill the crossing guard position. Pending. Physical drug screen.
And that's it.
Third. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, adjourn public health and safety at 7:21.
Okay, next up is cultural committee.
Okay, I call cultural committee to order at 7:21. Myself, Demond Ocean, Hebert and Mueller are present. We have got no old business, and a lengthy new business here, so we'll be good to go here. So I'll make a motion to approve the prior month's meetings from May 18, 2026.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, motion carries. We've got an approval for the St. Peter UCC close, part of Randolph for their BBS picnic on July the 10th. Starting at 4, I'll make a motion, we approve that as well.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, motion carries. We've got an approval here for Dietrich Banks request of a 2-person band September 10th, 2026 at the Rats Park. For their customer appreciation dinner, event, I should say. I'll make a motion that we approve Dietrich Banks' request for the band, which they did last year, September 10th at Rats Park.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No question?
Is it necessary that they ask for that? I mean, I got to do a bounce house and they have to show all that, but I mean, are we kind of being micromanaging on this stuff?
I think that was in the,
Form, it says that you have.
it's in the form. That you gotta have approval for that.
Because of the Music Act, just so that
Yeah.
people don't randomly go out there and throw concerts and.
Okay.
have anything
I think
else.
it's to kind of keep
Yes.
control on exactly what happens there. In this case, probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
So we've got several 4-way collection requests here, so I'll make a motion to approve same as village to collect at the 4-way on July 23rd from 3 to 6.
You can combine these if you want.
I can do them all one, okay. So we'll group these together, I'll make a motion to. A, approve same as village to collect at the 4-way, July 23rd from 3 to 6. Approval of the Knights of Columbus of Evansville to collect at the 4-way on September 11th, 2026, 2:30 to 5:30. Approval of St. John the Baptist Knights of Columbus. 12:152 to collect at 4-way, September 12th, 8 to noon. And approval for the communication committee to collect at the 4-way, November 13th from 2 to 5. And November 14th from 8 AM to noon. I'll make that a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, motion carries.
we've got a date change here for the David Free Shred and Electronics Recycling Day. At the sports complex. We're gonna change that from July 11th to August 1st. I would make a motion to accept that change.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We've also got a request here, which got in, weeklies here. We need to probably approve a festival committee. For San Diego. You wanna cover that a little bit?
Sure. So in looking for insurance, we're gonna do special event firework coverage. One of the questions on the forms was, did the city appoint an official committee to oversee your festival operations? We have had volunteers who've been consistent. You guys have allocated funding for it, but we've never officially assigned a committee. This will just ensure that the city maintains control of the festival and has oversight of that. This will be covering any kind of liability.
We need to approve the list of appointees.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to pull that up.
This is your test, how you do under pressure.
We're good, I got it. Okay, so I'll make a motion, I'll make a motion that we approve the America 250 Festival Committee consisting of Administrative Officer Jill Engraff, Mayor Susan Harbaugh, Brad Mayberry, Todd Tobin, Andrea Jenkins, Kathy Duparis, Pam Miller, and Kevin Miller.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Alright. Any public comments, anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I will close cultural at 7:25.
Okay, next up is zoning committee.
Thank you, Mayor, I call the zoning committee to order at 7:26. I have no new business. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes from May 18, 2026.
Now do attendance, please.
Oh. Myself, Iman, Hebert, Wheeler, and Leroy, all present. Now I would like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes from May 18th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There was a planning committee meeting, this past week, this past Tuesday. I was not able to attend, but, I talked to Jeff a little bit about it, they passed ordinance number, or they recommended the passing of ordinance number 1585, a special use permit for Groves Investment Company to sell alcohol at 1010 Locust Street. It's the site of the former Baptist church. I would like to make a motion that we pass ordinance number 1585. Any discussion?
So will the selling of alcohol be limited to certain times since schools right across the street?
The what's going in there is a banquet center. He's gonna be targeting bridal showers. Family reunion, wedding receptions. His anticipated times of being open will be Friday and Saturday evenings. All rental will be his main profit center. As far as limiting these kind of selling alcohol, that was not discussed at the planning commission. I would mention that when Mr. Groth approached me with this idea before he ever bought the place. He mentioned it to me, I went straight to Superintendent Tallman. I asked him what his thoughts were on this type of business going in. Mr. Tallman had no problem with it. He said he will also take this to his board and he would call me should they have questions. With the school being located right there. And I have received no such call.
If we authorize a liquor license. Do
we have any say so in the hours of operation, Monday through Sunday? I mean, essentially, if they wanted to, this business, could they just turn it into a bar?
Absolutely not. There is a rule and, I can read it to you, in our regulations, in our liquor code. That prohibits any sale of any alcoholic liquor at retail within 100 feet of any church, school, hospital, home for the agents.
I love that.
However, this prohibition shall not apply to hotels, restaurant service, regularly organized clubs, or restaurants, food shops, or other places where the sale of alcoholic liquor is not the principal business carried on in such a place of business. So if they, change the use of what that building is. We would talk to Rebecca, she would issue a corrective action order. They would have 30 days to correct what they're doing to get back into compliance. Or they would be issued a misdemeanor. Every day being a separate offense with maximum fines of $750 a day.
So. From what I could tell, reading the ordinance, it says the distance from 100 feet shall be measured from the nearest part of any building used for worship or educational programs. According to Google Map, that puts it about the four-way stop, not the establishment. So they would be outside of that limit. So if we gave them the liquor license and they decided to be a bar, we couldn't stop them.
Absolutely we could. Absolutely we could. We would, they're changing the use of what we're giving the liquor license for. Our zoning ordinance allows that if you change the use of a special use permit, we can revoke it, and that gets done legally through our attorney and through the court system.
Can they?
And he could add gaming if he so wanted to, along with the liquor license. However, Mr. Groves was asked that at planning commission, and he said he's absolutely not interested in gaming. This is gonna be an upscale banquet hall, tables and tablecloths for serving meals and having receptions. That's the model at this time. Again, if it morphs into something other than a banquet hall, we could revoke the special use, which would not allow them to carry that license.
Yeah, cause I'm good with it. If something changes. Can we do that? Because it makes me nervous on signage, we're gonna have gaming signs up and down the street. Will there be beer signs? We're gonna have neons on the windows. That's what I'm afraid. Looking forward, what can we pull back and can we, which is why I was worried about the distance and all that kind of stuff.
Mr. Groves, would you like to speak to that? What type of signage you're?
Yeah, and the only sign that I'm putting out, well, there's two, where the Baptist church sign is out front, and then one on the building, that's the only signs that'll be out. And then we have a sticker of hours for the office spaces that are over to the left, that's it.
There won't be any neon alcohol signs or loud signs?
No, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will make a motion that we have a motion and a second, all those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now public comments or anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I will adjourn the zoning committee at 7:32.
Okay, thank you. Our last committee meeting of the evening is recreational facilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Myself, Mohammed, Ewood, and Peter are all present. I'll call the order at 7:33. We have a whole business, under new business, I know.
Attendance.
Oh, it just did.
You did it so fast.
Why?
You're flying.
Knock me off my square. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the departmental meeting minutes from May 18th, 2026. All in favor? Any opposed? Anything for the order? Hearing none, I'll adjourn at 7:33.
Okay, that was quick. Okay, if you give us a moment, we'll switch tapes and then we'll shift into the special council meeting. I'm here. Councilmember Nivoy,
Here.
Councilmember Dojan,
Here.
and Councilmember Peel.
Here.
Okay, we've got a couple items to deal with. First, I would call for a motion. We need to approve invoice in the amount of $23,175 for the Redbud Randolph Monument Company.
What all was that?
This is the cemetery grant. Invoice, and then also part of the work that would go in through, part of the budget.
So 20,000.
20,000 is being reimbursed through the cemetery grant.
Okay. And they just, refinishing headstones or setting back?
Resetting new foundations.
Okay.
Perpetual care items.
Call for a motion?
I'll make that a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the invoice? Roll call with Parsons.
Hey,
Hey,
Hey.
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 hey,
hey,
Okay, motion carries. And next up, I'll call for a motion to approve ordinance number 1585, the special use permit for 1010 Locust Street.
So,
okay,
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
yeah,
Come up in my, please.
my name is John Wall.
I'm sorry.
I am opposed.
I know.
Yeah.
You can.
I say just like on side.
I'm opposed to this, and I'll tell you the reason why. It's a great idea, it's a great concept. But the city of Redbud has never done this to what we're gonna do to some of the people in the town. Kenny Bolton has saved this downtown area and spent a boatload of money rehabbing buildings down here. And he's in the agricultural business. I never talked to Mr. Bogus or any of the Rats family, or the Rats family member president here. The Rats family bought the VFW down here. And you can go down there on any Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, Saturday evening, and it's full of young families bowling because it's a field and it's right here in town. And Willie Rat saved that for us. He rebuilt that dance hall. It's a reception center. When he got into that, he said if the termites would have quit holding hands, the damn thing would have fell down. He spent a lot of money than he wanted to. And we're not gonna give him a chance to recoup this. And we have never in the past treated our citizens this way. It's wrong. It's just 100% wrong. And we got the car way out in front of the parcel of this building. There's 6 or 7 weeks of construction in there, and it's not even approved yet. Something's not on top of the table here. This is just not ready.
you're talking about all these little things that can and can't do, if you don't have it in writing, it's gonna get done. You did the same thing with Annenberg over here, advice, he's supposed to clean up parking lots. He hasn't been on my parking lot in 6 years. He got what he wanted, it's done. It's horrible. You go up there, you've got old families that've been there forever. That are gonna be listening to music, they're gonna have cars parked in their driveways. I deal with high school. High school was there before I got there. I made that choice. These people are not getting the choice. I talked to a bunch of them. They wouldn't come here because they said, it's a done deal. He's already built it. There's something not on the top of the table here. I don't think Mr. Rose has anything to do with it, but I also don't think he'd be in there spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars if he wasn't assured that he was gonna get what he wants. Advices, this morning I picked up 3 beer bottles out of the parking lot that they kind of broke for me, so it was easier to deal with it. I have about once a month bring up people in the parking lot. I have had people definitely on the back steps twice. And that's what you're gonna run into with this. And you're gonna put 60 to 80 cars when he has a big event in that neighborhood. And if you live in them apartments across from the school, you're gonna end up parking at Casey's and walking home. And if you guys would do this to any of your mothers, say, yeah, that we're putting that across the street from you, Mom, I encourage you to vote for it. I don't think you do it. This should have been stopped before this man spent all this money. This is not. It's just not, we don't treat our citizens that way. You guys can't. We have never done that. They were there. There was never a music hall, or a reception hall there. They were there first. And you're running in truth. They have paid taxes in this town, they spend money in this town, they support this town. And I don't think you guys have even went to talk to. I have, they're not happy. And I'm not happy because I'm gonna have the same thing, because I'm the lucky guy that owns a property next to that damn church. So I'm gonna be cleaning up every Saturday and Sunday morning, cleaning up messes I didn't create. And anything you don't have in writing is gonna happen, that's guaranteed. Thank you.
So any further discussion beyond that? Okay. And let's see, voting starts with Gaber.
Hey,
Nay.
Hey, hey,
Hey. Would you recap the vote, please?
Okay, the vote was 7 yeas and Mueller was a nay.
The vote passes.
Yes.
Okay. You're granted your special use.
Thank you.
Public guest comments, anything at this point? And I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned at 7:42 PM. Thank you all.